Welcome to the Real Life PMP podcast, where we continue our exciting series with the incredible Dawn Mahan, veteran project manager and author of Meet the Players in Projectland. I'm your host, Crystal Richards, and this episode is the final installment with my conversation with Dawn. We'll cover some fantastic topics, starting with the value of team leads in project management and how Agile and servant leadership play a role in her book. We'll also dive into Dawn's thoughts on the evolving role of project managers today, especially as they embrace coaching, Agile skills, and navigating the virtual environment. A quick reminder, at the time of this recording in September 2024, Dawn will also be a sponsor and speaker at our upcoming Indoor Recess Summit, and we couldn't be more excited to have her. So let's dive in and continue learning from Dawn Mahan. Well, you said something about having a team of mind readers, which we probably won't be blessed to have, but we're still going to have a team of people.
Right.
And I'd love to get your insights about how team members fit into the whole Projectland framework and what roles do they play ensuring project success? And what are some of the ways that they get in the way of success?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the leadership team of the project defined in the book. And then we've also got the team leads and team members. And the team leads are part of the leadership team of the project. If there are team leads for a project, there aren't for all projects. But when there are team leads, let's talk about those first. So sometimes team leads are really, really helpful when you've got a technically complex project, for instance, where the PM doesn't, know the tech, for example, or isn't an expert in that space. And it would be really helpful to have an expert leader in that space. That's like the alpha animal that the team members of that unit really respect and, can get help from. And the team leads, I have a story about this from my own school of hard knocks, which is I was on this project, very, very intense project, the number one project in the company, where I had been assigned as the project manager. The executive on the project decided, in all his wisdom of never ever doing a project before, okay, never
Love how that
ever.
happens.
Yeah. Now he had risen through the company through operations from the mailroom to being the right-hand man of the CFO. So he was very,
Wow.
very successful. I respected him a lot. Super awesome guy, but had never done a project before. So he, in all of his newbie wisdom, not realizing he was a newbie and in project land, decided that I was equal to the team leads. So Deloitte was on a call with us because they got sicked on us because we were the number one project in the company and it had to go well. And I remember, remember the days of the bat phone in the middle? There was no video in those days, right? But it was
Right. I remember that. Yes.
you're staring at the voices in the bat phone. Everybody in the room's looking at the bat phone. This was us. So Deloitte's on the bat phone, and me and the project executives guy and a couple of the team leads were in the room, and I said, Deloitte, just one question. Have you ever seen an org structure like this work for a project? Now I knew the answer. But you need, when you're an internal person, sometimes you need the big guns on the other side in the bad phone to say it. And there was a pause, and they said no. And he proceeded to have us all be equal. Anyway, he said, well, you guys will have to figure it out. And none of the team leads, except for the one woman, it was all men and one woman. She had done her job before. I had certainly done my job before. None of the other guys had done the job before. You think this set us up for success? No. Just like Deloitte said on the phone, no. So it was a hard road. So when I talk about, now that story is not in the book. But I'm telling, you guys this because it was such a hard road. And later he came back to me to apologize.
Really?
It was unbelievable. He took me to brunch and he said, I am so sorry that I made it harder than it needed to be.
Oh, well, I give him respect for that.
I got full respect. I mean, I always respected him. I had full respect. There were many times where I had to be like, "Do you know what you just did? Now, now I have to do, some work here, extra work here that I wouldn't have had to do if you could have consulted with me first, blah blah blah." But now, I'm like, okay, so I was cleaning up after him a bunch, and he did. He owned it. Like he must have reflected on it and owned it later. I mean, the project was successful, but it was way harder than it needed to be because of the
Wow.
structure, which is why in the book I talk so clearly about the structure and making sure that it's clear that the team leads report to the project manager for the project. And so in the team lead section of the book, I talk about how the team leads and the project manager have to have a positive partnership.
Hmm.
And this is the backstory that I want you to think about when you're reading that, when you're reading that part, because it was way, way harder than it needed to be.
Mm, my goodness. I can't wait to dig more into that. What role or how much of Agile is in the book? How does it have its way in Project Land?
Yeah, so there is a special note about Agile, which I know you saw because you made a correction for me, which was awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And luckily I had already acknowledged you in the back, so you're already there. So, yeah, so we talk about Agile a little bit because, Agile is a big question for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
so I talk in the book about how Agile is not new. So especially if you gift this to a sponsor or something and they're thinking about Agile or Agile environments, then they get the message Agile is not new. And Agile can be used for non-technical projects also, Agile
Right.
techniques. And I have most certainly taken a page out of the Agile playbook many times with non-technical projects and different kinds of projects, which has helped teams succeed too. So there's a lot of Agile that's common sense. And so I try to emphasize that a little bit in the book. As you know, this is a tool in your toolkit as a project manager.
Hmm. No, that's great. And I think, with my question, there's definitely been a significant shift in the PMP content to account for Agile. There's definitely the craze of which Agile certification to get, because it's the wild, wild west when it comes to Agile certifications. It's, do I
Right.
get this or that? And it really is kind of based on the preference of the organization and not necessarily what's best. It's more what I have seen in talking with the organizations. It's preference. Like we like this,
Yeah.
and it might be kind of industry set as well. Like in the federal government, they tend to like one type of agile framework. But I was curious because I think this is a book that resonates whether you are practicing traditional project management or agile. It's still the same cast of characters, quite honestly. Would you agree?
I would. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I call the person a project manager, but he or she could be a scrum master too. And
Hmm.
I certainly have always believed in servant leadership as a great way to lead when you don't have authority, right? Like
Right.
let's just think about how do we make this team successful? That's what I always wanted as a project manager or, whether you call no matter what you title you gave me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They just want us to get the job done.
Right.
It's You can call
Yeah.
me your honey boo boo.
Yeah, but
just I just need to get
whatever.
the job done.
Yeah, pay me and call me whatever you want. I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I am like so excited about the awesome opportunities that this book will lead, and just the opportunities for your readers of what it will lead for them, and just being better at what they do, and leading to success of what you're trying to help them do. So thank you for putting your voice out in the world and sharing your wisdom through this book. And I'm so excited. Yes, it's already going to be part of the freebies for my enrollees into indoor recess. So we'll be circling back on this, Dawn, later on and get some copies. I'll see if I can like get your John Hancock if you if you have the time. I know how painful it's like I gotta sign all these books, but
Oh, I would be for you, Crystal, I'd be delighted. I would be
oh,
delighted.
thank
Yeah.
you. That's
Your
awesome.
indoor recess is so cool. And so
Thank you.
I would love to support your indoor recess participants for sure.
You. I appreciate that. Well, Dawn, I'm not going to let you off the hook just yet. I've got a few other questions just to kind of round out and make sure people get to know a little bit more about you. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self starting out in project management, what would it be?
I love this one too because I really wish I could go back and tell myself this. So I tell all my students this, and I do a rant about it. Trust your intuition.
Mm,
Trust your intuition. I have a mathematics degree. I worked in an actuarial department. I worked in biostatistics. I worked in technology. My first PM role was in information technology. I had the intuition beat out of me. It was all data. Everything was data, 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 facts, 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 data, facts, right? It was no feelings, which I was fine with, that's okay. I didn't need to have emotions at work. In fact, that's kind of how I was raised anyway. So that was cool. But intuition, boy, every time, Crystal, that I didn't listen to those spidey senses, I got I should have
mhm.
every single time. So, and the thing is this advice is very attuned to the idea that this is Projectland, meaning as you teach, as we all teach, right? If we're teaching from the PMI definition, it includes that a project is unique. Unique. That means in the history of the world, nobody has done this thing before. That means
Right.
you are a pioneer in new territory. That means nobody's been on this path before with these people in this place. Something makes it unique, right? So, do you think that maybe listening to your intuition of, just like if you were on a forest path and it was getting dark and you heard something, like, and you might feel a little,
Don't walk into
right?
the
Like,
darkness.
oh, maybe I shouldn't go down that path, right? Like, it's like that, exactly like that on projects every single hour of every single day. And we need to listen to our intuition.
Oh my goodness, that is great advice. Sometimes I wish, but when you're young, you're like you think you know everything, but
That's for
no. I
sure.
hopefully some of the not even young people, but just young in the project management space, those folks who are listening, that you hear it loud and clear. Listen to your gut. It's probably telling you something that you should do or maybe should not do. So that's awesome. Well, how do you see the role of project managers evolving in the next decade? Because it's changed, right? Especially with the introduction and the explosion of agile principles and just really seeing the value of project managers outside of IT and construction management, for instance. Are there some things that you're seeing that we need to be thinking about in the next 10 years or so?
Yeah, there are a couple things. The the role of the virtual phenomenon is also playing a part in this too,
Mm,
because a lot of people cannot just go walk down the hall and knock on somebody's door and corner them anymore. And that
mhm,
used to be, or do your own sort of drive-bys on the sponsor's office
mhm.
because you need to run something by them real quick. Like it's harder than when we were in an office together.
Yeah.
So some of the evolution is about how to navigate the virtual version of this, which we've all been, all of our folks have been trying to figure out. So I feel like that coupled by the new generation of thinkers coming in is I see it more coming into being a coach. So like
Mm,
more coach, right? So and even in my book, I talk about how if you're talking about sports, right? And I know not everybody's into sports, but everybody knows there's a coach of a sports team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows there's a coach, right? Everybody knows that, if you're talking about pro sports, there's a team owner up in the luxury box wearing a nice suit or whatever, right? That's sitting up there behind the glass. And then there's the coach running around sweating with it, right on the sidelines there,
Right.
directing people, yelling, jumping up and down in some cases, right? And but knows every single player, knows what they're capable of, helps to direct them so that they can win and is right there with them at every practice and at every game trying to prepare them to win. And so I see, because of this virtual situation and nobody likes to take orders from anybody and all this sort of stuff in the modern world, I feel like the more that we can embrace our role as coach and figure out fair escalation paths when we
Mm-hmm.
need help to, for players that are going rogue and so forth, then I feel like that's going to help project managers feel better about their roles in this, over the next decade or so. And also for other people to see them as leaders, because everybody knows, the coach on the sidelines is the leader, and they, and if they win, then they get Gatorade all over them or whatever. They get a Gatorade bath,
Right.
which is, got to be horrible. But I feel like then the role of coach is going to feel better sort of all the way around.
Right, right. And it's interesting you would say that because I often, yes, there's the winningest coach, right? But it's always still a focus on the players, like who's the MVP. And would you say this statement is fair that if you're doing really well, that's expected. Like you're not getting a cookie, right? But if you're a terrible project manager, they know you by name. Would you say that's a fair assessment, like
Well,
of our
100%.
lives?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the bell curve is alive and well here. And the bell curve, right? The bell curve being the bottom tier of people are known, the names, the
Right.
dates, right? Yeah, where they live, they're known. And then the top tier, I feel, are also known because
Okay.
the executives that I work with, they know that when a giant project lands on their lap, they know who they're going to
I'm
call.
gonna go to. Yeah.
Yeah, they know who their go-to people are. And if they're
Hmm.
smart executives, that, realize that maybe they didn't come from the project management arena, which is what I try to help them understand a lot of times, then they often are asking them for advice. So they have their, that and then the middle group of people, the good performers, the strong performers, they may be known for this or that, but certainly not as much as the bottom and the top. But that's life anyway, isn't it?
Right. That's a good visual in my mind. I love asking this question. If money were no object, what would you do instead of being a project manager?
So, I am not a project manager anymore. So I already achieved that dream, right?
Nice.
So, right, because I have done that, been there and run PMOs and then started my own, consulting and training firm. So I got out of that a while ago, that game a while ago. But I am working toward a new vision for myself. If money were no object, this is the best question ever, right? If money were no object, I would focus on leading the enterprise at a higher level with presidents running the divisions so I can focus on writing and speaking, because that's where I just love the writing and the speaking. The speaking includes, the keynotes, but also the workshops and
Hmm.
the thing and we're going to talk about next, I think, which is the big thing I'm excited about.
Yes, well, let's get to it. I think this is where, how do people contact you? What's next with Meet the Players in Project Land book tour, launch party, anything of that sort? And I know that by the time we release this, I'll have some updates in my introduction and outros of the episode. So go for it, Dawn.
Thanks, Crystal, so much for that. I am really excited, so people are like, "Hey, you wrote the book. What, are you going to start to write the next book now?" And I'm like, "Well, I want to, but what I really need to do is make sure that people are aware of this book and, get the word out." And one of our key tenets in our organization is celebrate. Organizations don't celebrate enough, so we are definitely going to do some book launch celebrating, and it's going to be for insiders, and then we're also going to do one on LinkedIn Live to sort of really open it up to the rest of the global community we have. And so hopefully when this comes out, there will be a book launch party about to happen. So go to pmotraining.com. So PMO being Project Management Office, pmotraining.com, and go to the contact us page and get on our mailing list so that you can get invites. I don't send a lot of emails. When I do, they're really to the point, and we invite you to get free PDUs a lot of times. And
Yes, you are
right, so
good with
everybody,
that.
yeah, everybody loves those. But also, other trainings and fun things like this. So we're gonna do some launch stuff. And the thing I'm really excited about doing is, this is kind of the crazy, this is Dawn's craziness coming out. I want to do Projectland at the zoo.
It's pretty crazy. I love it.
Projectland at a zoo near you is what I want to do. So, meaning, and I've already planned it. We started to talk to the Bronx Zoo and some other zoos about coming to the zoo and hosting workshops where we talk about the book, but we also run a team challenge where people break into teams and they run around the zoo and they get team selfies with the different animals, in a timed challenge, and then obviously win prizes and stuff. But that'd be really, I think, be really fun. And I've found that some organizations are finally and excited to get people back together in person, do something fun, do a little learning. So if you have an organization that might be interested in doing something a little different and getting people out of their comfort zone, talking about Projectland and how to succeed, all getting all the players together, the different players together, and having a little fun too. This is the event for you. Zoo near you, Projectland at the zoo. That's what I'm.
And that's the thing. When I talk about stakeholders, when I teach the class, we're like, okay, we have to identify stakeholders. We need to figure out who's who in the zoo. So this is so awesome.
You do? I didn't know that. That's so great.
I love it.
Great
Well,
minds,
Dawn,
Crystal.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
And what's your favorite social platform for people to reach out to you, or platforms to reach out to you?
Well, me personally, LinkedIn for sure. And there are like 8 Dawn Mahans, but I got the Dawn Mahan, DawnMahan, which is on the cover of the book, also. So that's LinkedIn, and Crystal and I are connected. So if you're connected to Crystal, it'll be easy for you to find me there. And also, I add a little extra fun on Instagram. So you'll see a picture of my dog, which is the inspiration for the happy dog animal avatar in the book. My butterfly garden that makes an appearance in the book also. So, and the Phillies, and other fun, crazy stuff we do in the Florida Keys. So, if you want to have a little more fun and interact that way, Instagram is the way to go. And I'm Dawn J Mahan on Instagram because somebody else got
Someone
the
took it.
the other one. Yeah.
I know how that is. I'm still bitter. It's the Mind Spark. And I'm like, it's Mind Spark. It's just Mind
I know. What are you gonna do?
Spark. I know. Just go with the flow. Well,
That's
Dawn,
right.
this has been great. I'm so excited about you being on the podcast. I'm excited for you. I'm excited about this book. And you've got my wheels spinning on what some future partnership might look like with the PMO with the book, as well as with MindSpark. So thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Crystal, for having me. It is always so fun to talk to you and, talk project management with you. So thank you so much. And please keep doing what you're doing and serving this amazing community of ambitious project people.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. What a journey it's been with Dawn Mahan. From discussing the critical role of team leads and the power of Agile and servant leadership to the exciting evolution of project managers today, Dawn has shared a wealth of insights. If you're as inspired as I am, don't miss Dawn at the Indoor Recess Summit, October 17th and 18th, where she'll be joining us as both a sponsor and a speaker. You can find all the details in the show notes. And Dawn will be present at our in-person feature of Indoor Recess on Saturday, October 19th, 2024 in Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special series with Dawn. If you enjoyed these episodes, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps us bring even more great content to you. I'm Crystal Richards, and this is Real Life PMP Podcast. Until next time, keep growing, learning, and celebrate your wins.